Welcome to How Can I Help My Child to Print, Part 4, Building a Foundation. So today we're going to develop understanding of what activities you could implement to encourage successful fine motor and upper extremity strengthening in your children and be able to build some resources such as functional bins so that you can have them readily available to play. Children who are taught handwriting before they're truly ready to master the skill may actually become discouraged and develop poor writing habits that become troublesome down the road. So if you think about it, when our children are young, they're not going to all of a sudden stand up and run. First, they're going to have to learn how to walk before they're comfortable and strong enough to run. So similar for printing, there are these readiness skills and foundational skills that our children need to have in order to prepare them to be more successful with handwriting. So what are our building blocks of printing readiness? Upper extremity strength, fine motor control, bilateral coordination, left and right discrimination, pencil grasp, coloring, letter recognition, pre-printing strokes. And there are several other areas too, but these are the ones that I wanted to concentrate more so with. And I'm going to go through all of them with you to help you get a better understanding. So upper extremity strengthening. In order to have control in our hands, we first must have a strong trunk and shoulder stability. And then we can develop our finer movements with our hand. We need to provide opportunities to develop this trunk strengthening and shoulder stability throughout our children's day-to-day activities. So how can we do that? One idea is weight-bearing activities. So that really means that you're stimulating those muscles around the joints, which increases your stability. So animal walks, so those are such as like a bear walk, a crab crawl, bunny hops, anything like that. You can make obstacle courses where they're crawling under things and hopping over. You can do wheelbarrow walking, so you're going to hold your child's legs while they use their arms to walk around. Push and pull games, using a wagon or toboggan, pushing a wheelbarrow, anything like that. And actually doing activities on your tummy. So if you're doing, sometimes if your child wants to color or do puzzles or the fun bins, which we'll talk about later, you can actually prop them up on their bellies, and then that will give them a little bit more strengthening and stability in their trunk to work on while they're doing those activities. So fine motor control. So we have skilled fingers, and those are our index finger, our middle finger, and our thumb. So these are skilled fingers. These are the ones that are going to do most of our movements when it comes to our fine motor skills. And we want them to be as efficient and strong as possible. So how are we going to encourage that? So you can do it through in-hand manipulation skills. So activities. So basically what that means is you're going to learn how to manipulate things in your hand. So if you, like it says, if you have a pocket full of change and you pull it out and you're trying to get the quarter out with all the dimes and nickels, you're going to have to be able to use your thumb and bring it up and get that out, right? So that is one way to encourage it. There's a whole lot of different activities, and I'll highlight some of them for you. And another way to encourage our skilled finger development is through strengthening activities, because we want to make sure that these fingers are strong. So some ideas you can do just with things around your household. So try flicking a cotton ball or like a rolled up piece of paper. You can make little goal nets. I have like a little pom-pom here, whatever you have, and just trying to kind of, isolate your fingers and just give it a little flick and make a fun game out of it. You can do nuts and bolts. So, there's lots of commercially plastic ones available. You can use the real ones also, and just to make it a game to see how fast they can unscrew them and screw them back on. A turkey baster. These are fun too. You can also use like the cotton balls or the pieces of paper, and you can try to move them with the air that when you're squishing this. So you can again play a fun game like using the turkey basters. These are also fun in bath play as well, like getting the water in and squeezing the water and squirting it out, or just water play outside. With a water table, whatever you have access to. When it comes to strengthening hands, there are lots of different things that are naturally going to be strengthening your children's hands. But the two things that I like to always recommend are using clothespins and spray bottles. So there's a whole bunch of different types of clothespins available. The wooden clothespins are a little bit easier to squeeze. And then you have more so like the plastic ones, and those have a little more resistance, and sometimes they are a little bit harder. So you can progress. You can start with whatever level that your child is at and progress to the stronger ones. There's so many activities that you can do. Like one of them here you can have your child's name on a popsicle stick, and then you can write the letters on a clothespin, and then you simply get your child to match up their letters to their name. And this is also working on letter recognition and naming, so it's a great activity. And I mean, that is something that you might have available at your house, but you can make it, as any way that you really want to. These are laminated pieces, and it's the same thing. Like you're just going to be putting those on. You always have that template there. And there's another one that I have available too. There was, this is the alphabet. Then if you have all of your clothespins with the different letters on it, there again, you're working on different skill sets here, letter recognition, matching. But, you have an S, and then you find the S and you put it on there. So if you Google or go on Google or Pinterest and you fine motor clothespin activities, a lot of ideas will come up. And if your child has certain, if they like certain characters or they're into certain things, like you can make different activities based on their likes, right? So I would suggest kind of just searching for some activity ideas on the internet. Spray bottle. So it simply is just any type of spray bottle that you have available. And again, so our skilled fingers, we're strengthening. So we're wanting to get them to hold the spray bottle like that. And there's so many different things that we could be doing. Naturally we can fill it up with water and water any plants that you have around your house, or, in the spring and summertime, you could be watering outdoor plants. One of my favorite activities is using chalk on your driveway or sidewalks, whatever you have available. Again, you can use letters, whatever might motivate them. So you can write the letter M, and then they have to come and erase the letter M with their spray bottle, right? You can do, I've also seen like you can have a bin of water, and you can put like little plastic things that will float in there, and then you can have your spray bottle and you're trying to spray them so that they can move. You can get Hot Wheel cars or whatever type of little car that you have, get them all muddy, and then they can have a car wash, and then they can spray. You can put soap in it, and they can, clean their car. So anything that you can really think of with a spray bottle is great. That's why I love it. So versatile, both the clothespins and the spray bottles. And they're really great for using using activities to build that hand strengthening. Our next area is bilateral coordination, and that is using both of your hands to perform a task at the same time. So there's two different types of bilateral coordination. So one is when you're using both the hands in a symmetric way. And for example, those, using musical percussions, cymbals, drums, interlocking toys. So you're going to have, for instance, like Legos, you're using both of your hands to manipulate things. And you are building Legos, whatever interlocking toy that you may have. Finger painting, rolling pin and Play-Doh. So again, if you have the rolling pin, you're using both of your hands the same way. And then our other one would be hands are used for different functions. So usually you would have like, I usually call it a helper hand, and then you have like your skilled hand that it turns out to be more of your dominant hand. And how would you encourage this? So an idea can be just simple, opening and closing containers, any types of containers that you have at home. And you can fill them with food, with water, with sand, with stickers, something to encourage them to open it and get what's inside. Tracing, like a stencil. Again, you'd be holding the stencil with your helper hand and then tracing with your dominant hand. Cutting with scissors, buttoning, unbuttoning, any kind of activity that you're stabilizing. And even, helping to bake, you're holding the bowl with one hand and you're stirring and mixing with the other. Anything that you can think of. Those would be great ways to develop their bilateral coordination skills. So next would be left and right discrimination and the ability to distinguish between the left side of the body and the right side of the body. And what is our reason for teaching this? Well, when we look at it, making letter formations and printing does require an understanding of left to right concepts. So if you think about, if we're writing the letter E, we're going to start on the left hand side. I'll say capital letter E. You're going to start on the left hand side, so they have to understand that. And then they're going to start going to the top, and then they're going to left to right, right? Little line across the top, little line across the middle, and little line across the bottom. And how can we encourage left and right discrimination? So there's so many different ways, but some of the ones that I highlighted, the Hokey Pokey song. Simon Says, you can incorporate left and right signals in there. Mother May I game. And, back to when we were talking about obstacle courses, when you're doing your obstacle courses, you can focus on concepts like turn left, turn right, jump over here, jump to the left. So just, simple things that you might already be doing and just, using that vocabulary left and right. Just in order to help them distinguish better that there are two different sides, left and right. So next we have drawing a person. So reasons for teaching, it does build important readiness skills. So our body awareness, drawing and pre-printing. So our pre-printing strokes, if we can recall from previous webinars, those are our strokes that we need to have developed prior to successfully learning how to print our letters. It also works on counting and building and socializing and sharing if you're doing it in a group or with a peer. How we can encourage is this activity called Matman. It's something that I really do find very fun and motivating, and it is through the Handwriting Without Tears program. This is one of their tools that they use to encourage printing readiness. And to better help you understand how Matman works, I did a little video with my children.
Listen. Matman has one body, one body, one body. Matman has one body. Told what is inside. His heart, his tummy,
tummy, and lungs.
Batman has two arms, two arms, two arms. Batman has two arms so that he can reach. Batman has two hands, two hands, two hands. Batman has two hands so that he can clap. Batman.
Yes, 2 hands so that he can clap. 1 hand. Good job.
Batman has two legs, two legs, two legs. Batman has two legs so that he can stand.
Stand.
Batman has 2 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet.
Here.
Batman has 2 feet so that he can walk.
There we go. Good job, guys. Give me 5. Yay! Okay, so for the actual pieces for Matman, they are the wood pieces, but you can get a template, and it's on the handouts that you can go to the Handwriting Without Tears website, and you can just make your own pieces, and you can laminate them. And what I had done for the hands and for the nose and the eyes, I just used felt, but you can use felt or you can use bristle board, whatever you have, and you can even trace your child's hand so that the hand would be kind of their size. And if right there it was shown that the 2 children, I was handing them each part that they had to place, and they've done that several times before. So to start, you might just actually build Matman first, okay? And that's pretty natural if you did it first to show, and then you can help the next time, help encourage your child to participate. Maybe they just do, if Matman has 1 head, and you can, help them put it down, or you can do 1 curve and they can do 1 curve. You can meet your child with whatever skill level that they're at. And it's just very fun and motivating. After you do Matman and you build him a few times, you can progress to going onto the paper and pencil activities. So what you can still do, you can draw Matman, you can get a crayon, and you as the parent or the adult, the teacher, I would do the same thing, like Matman has 1 head, 1 head, 1 head, and I would draw it right onto a sheet of paper, and then your child would have the sheet of paper in front of you, and then they can draw their head. And I would still do it like step by step like that for the first several times that you do it. And then you can encourage your child to, what else can Matman have? Does Matman have hair? Does Matman wearing a hat? It really just kind of builds a foundation, and then it lets kids explore and add things to it. Maybe Matman's outside and maybe there's a tree. So it really just helps to, like I said, build that foundation, and then they can be creative and, make Matman pictures, right? Not just focusing on the one person, but maybe Matman has a friend, and maybe, like I said, maybe he's outside, maybe there's a house. So anyways, it's a great activity to encourage drawing a person. Next, we have coloring. And the reason we want to teach it, it does help to learn how to hold and move our crayons. And it kind of gives us some clues about our children's readiness skills. So how can we encourage? So there's different activities. This activity, aim and scribble, it's just real small shapes that they're going to start with. When you're first learning to color, it is scribbling at first, right? So you don't want to have too much things that they're responsible for, like too big of a picture. So really, you're just going to be picking up your crayon and you're just going to scribble a little bit, and that's okay. Right? You're just kind of targeting and scribbling. They're just getting used to how to hold a crayon. If you think about it, if you switched to your non-dominant hand and you tried this activity and you tried to scribble, and how awkward that feels, that's kind of what your child or your student is probably feeling when they're first learning how to hold and manipulate a crayon, okay? So just little activities like this. You don't, this, again, a link to this is on the resource page, but you don't have to have this particular thing. You can draw your own little pictures. Like I've, drawn little squares or little circles or little stars on a piece of paper, and I did it. It accomplishes the same thing. We're just solely working on little scribbles. And if you notice, I do have a small crayon, because we did talk about this in one of my webinars before. Small hands, small tools for kids, right? So a larger crayon, potentially they can still hold it awkwardly, like up here, right? Or fist it. So just making it smaller, like 1 to 2 inches, they'll kind of have to get used to using their skilled fingers, right? And manipulate the pencil or the crayon, sorry. So that's aim and scribble. The next, you kind of graduate to aim and coloring. So fill in coloring, and that's when the picture is a little bit bigger, and you're actually trying to fill in a lot of space. Yeah, we're going to use small shapes. So I just kind of gave an idea, like I just got some flower shapes just to show you. You can use a glue gun or wiki sticks around the border if you're trying to help them stay inside the lines. If that is something you identified that you want to work on, because it is quite natural for them to go outside the lines at first. But if you're at a stage where you want to focus on that, it's really hard to see. But I did put a glue gun around the borders of this flower, so it gives you that feedback, like it'll give a little bit of a bump, right? That you can't really cross. And then over here, I used, the wiki sticks or my flexible waxy sticks. There's a bunch of different brands out there. But basically it is like a waxy substance, and you can simply just, like I was doing it, put it around the border of whatever you are trying to get your child to color. And it's very sticky, and you can see like it stays put there, and it's reusable. So once you're done with it, you can go ahead and take it off. But first I want to show you, like you do have more sticks. So you can do the whole thing. And then it'll give you that border, and then you can just take it off and reuse it again. So it might be a little bit easier than glue gunning all the time. But that, again, it depends on what stage your child is in. That was just one little tip and trick I wanted to include. And then depending on the actual shape you're getting your child to color in, I said above that it gives us clues about their readiness skills, going back to our pre-printing strokes. So if you have like a square, they're probably going to be coloring vertically and horizontally. Sometimes if you have circles, they're going to be starting to do a circular motion. So like those are, circles and vertical and horizontal lines. Those are all part of our pre-printing strokes. If you have a triangle, they'll probably start to try to color on an angle. If they don't have those strokes yet, then you can kind of see, like if they're coloring the triangle and they're doing circle strokes, or if they're doing up and down, then you can kind of see that, okay, they're not necessarily at that level yet. Like this is kind of where they're feeling comfortable with their ability for their pre-printing strokes and for their coloring strokes. That's just a little aside. You don't have to pay too much attention to it, but it's just, I find that kind of neat to look at, a child's coloring patterns and to see kind of where they're at. Our next one is our letter recognition. And of course, reason for teaching. Before learning to print, the child does need an idea of what our letters actually look like. The ability to recognize forms and shapes develops at an earlier age than the ability to reproduce them. So children can recognize the letters prior to actually naming them. Capitals are the first letters children can recognize. So that's why I would encourage doing capital letters first and then going into lowercase. And capital letters are much easier to form. And I talked about a lot of that in a previous webinar. So our stages of letter recognition is, so we have singing the ABCs correctly. That's kind of where they would start. A, B, C, D. everyone knows that song. And then putting letter names and symbols together. So actually knowing that that letter is, you know, it has a name. And learning to name letters in any order. So those are kind of the different stages that your child will progress in. And then how we can encourage them is, of course, singing our ABC song. But while singing our ABC song, you want to be able to, you know, show them the alphabet and, you know, actually point to the letters A, B, C, D, etc. So that they actually visualize, you know, that there is that symbol that matches with that name. Making tactile letters, like with pipe cleaners or sandpaper, anything that you can kind of get your hands on at your house. And those are really fun to use. And you can just simply trace them with your finger. Sorry, I'm just grabbing an example. This one is a commercial one, but it is rough. It's a little bit of a sandpaper, but you can feel it. So just even getting that tactile down. But like I said, you can make your own with pipe cleaners, glue and sand, glue and salt, whatever you have available. And then letter matching activities, placing any letters in bags, and children pull them out and they have to find match the letters to existing, you know, capital letter display, or if you just had your book open again, you know, matching it to there. Now, there are two other additional building blocks of printing that I had previously talked about on how I can help my child to print a printing readiness workshop for parents. So if you want further details on that, I would suggest looking up that webinar. Just wanted to quickly go over a little bit what functional bins are. And they're prepared activity bins that serve a function. They're readily available for your child to explore, learn, and ultimately have fun. And they're just a simple way to encourage development of certain skills. So basically what you're going to have, if you know, it doesn't have to be a bin, it can be a binder, it can be a bucket, whatever. But like if you have something prepared for them and it's easy, you know, might have to take a few you know, a little bit to prep for something like this, but then you've made it and you can put it on your shelf and then you can take it out and don't have to worry about it. So the first one is mega blocks and pom-poms. So like mega blocks as in like, you know, these are kind of like the giant Lego ones. And you can have pom-poms and you can, you know, drop them into your Lego. And it depends, like if you have color-coded pom-poms or whatever, if you wanted to use red for the red Legos, if you want to do green for green, that's fine too. And these are just like little tweezers, or you can use your clothespins, whatever you have available. And again, this is going to work on strengthening your hands. Coins. So having a coin bin or a, you know, piggy bank. So this is just a little piggy bank here. And then they're able to have a few different coins. These are plastic. And then what you'd want to do is if you can start just picking one up at a time using your index finger and your thumb and putting it in one at a time. And you can pick it up off the table, pick another one up, put it in one at a time. You can progress to picking 3 up at a time, 1, 2, 3 from the table, having it in your palm, and then sliding one to your fingertips, and then putting it in. And then sliding the next one to your fingertips and putting it in. And I usually say we're going to feed the piggy. Let's feed the piggy. Yum, 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 yum. Okay, so that our in-hand manipulation skills, that's what we're working on here. And we just, you know, that pocket full of change that they want to get out, you know, and you have that dime that you need and it's amongst a lot of quarters. So that's what we're working on. So that's kind of progression there. Color sorting bin. So if you have, you know, an ice cube tray or an egg carton and you kind of, you know, made it colored, you painted it, and then you had different, I just have little foam pieces here. So again, you can pick 2 to 3 of these up off of the table, and you can actually do the same thing as you would with your coins. Pick one up, and then actually I say hide it away. Pick one up, hide it away. Pick one up, hide it away. And then they're just going to work on coloring too. Color recognition. and drop it into the right colors one at a time. Again, it depends on their level. If they can't actually do hold it in their hands and drop one at a time in there, just do pick one up, put it in, pick one up, put it in. That's quite all right. And again, you can progress to that level. And then jars. So again, we talked about jars already, but if you had the jars in a nice little container, like in a little plastic bin or whatever, so that you know where they are. And then kids usually love to like dump things. So, you know, I filled this with sand. They can open it up. They can get another container. Of course, this might be messy, but like, you know, just sand, salt, rice, noodles, whatever you kind of have available. A little bit of sensory play. You can also have stickers, like I said, in there. So this one has stickers. So I'm going to get a sticker out, and this is actually two-folded activity because stickers are really good for in-hand manipulation too. So once they get their sticker out, they can take it off the backing, and then you can have a piece of paper and they can put it on. They can decorate something. So again, that's anything that you can think about. And again, even in the bathtub, kids love to fill it up with water. So even bringing jars and plastic jars into the bathtub would be a great idea too with water play. Thank you very much. That actually concludes the webinar for today. I hope that you guys are able to learn some new ideas and activities to do to implement with your children. And that's my contact information there. I am an occupational therapist. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you need to. Thanks.